Thank you, Ruba. I'm so excited to be up here today. Intel's former and legendary CEO, Andy Grove, once said, "Only the paranoid survive." That is an ethos that has followed me and guided me through much of my career. But the principle does not mean fearing the unknown. It's about embracing a fierce curiosity and a preparedness to grow. That means everything needs to evolve. The focus, the methods, and sometimes even the values. At Caylent, we encourage our team to explore and experiment and always expect the unexpected. Asking ourselves, what happens if we don't do this? And being willing to answer and tackle difficult truths. That question actually propelled Caylent through our own very unique evolution. We were actually founded as a container management platform. And in 2019, we pivoted to services, a decision that would change the course of our future. In 2021, we went all in with AWS, earning our first designation, the migration competency, something still core to our business every single day. Since then, we've achieved 12 additional competencies, 12 service delivery designations, and developing a focus in key industries like financial services, media, and healthcare. In parallel, we grew from 50 to 650 employees. That's 200 times growth in just 3 years. A testament to the power of focus, making quick decisions, and knowing when to say no, and candidly, some sleepless nights. But these numbers do not tell the full story. What speaks to our growth is how we've adapted. We've embraced AI delivery, transforming our daily work. This is not about replacing people. It's about enhancing the builder's experience. Earlier, you heard Ruba talk about Amazon Q. As early adopters, our team experimented, creating AI methodology that we call test-driven automation. We've built a team of AI companions that help augment our delivery talent, making them smarter, faster, and better equipped to tackle our customers' most difficult and complex challenges. But at the heart of this is our culture of continuous curiosity, what we call the Caylent way. When you work with Caylent, you work with our shared experience of the entire team. We use a cortex of knowledge that builds on itself to better inform each customer engagement. We hold over 700 AWS certifications and focus on all AWS programs like the AWS Migration Acceleration Program. But our goal is simple: anticipate customer needs and deliver meaningful growth. And like Jerry Garcia, the late lead guitarist of my favorite band, the Grateful Dead, said, "Don't be the best at what you do, be the only ones that do what you do." When Life 360 came to us, they didn't just need technical expertise. They needed a partner that understood what was at stake. When connections grow wider than ever before, kids can hail ride shares, families are traveling to distant countries, and frankly, life is moving faster than ever before. Nothing matters more than the safety of our loved ones. That's where Life 360 comes in. And together, we built a solution worthy of the trust users like me put in it every day. Now, let's take a moment and see how Life 360 brings peace of mind to families everywhere.
Life 360 should replace yoga. When we got this app, 50% of our stress was washed down the drain.
I have 2 boys. Even when we're far away, it makes me feel closer to them.
I have a place alert near my favorite fast food chain. Mom, can you give me fast food, please?
You don't need yoga if you have 360. It makes your life very simple.
Life360 is a mobile application and a series of devices that allows you to find people, pets, and things that are important to you and your family to make sure they're safe.
We at Caylent want to be the partner that helps Life360 focus on their product, and we can deliver that underlying infrastructure.
Life360 has 70 million people worldwide that rely on our services. The service that Caylent provided, helping us to move into the AWS cloud, allowed us to reduce the latency across data centers so we can provide that great experience instantaneously to our users.
In order to deliver that level of reliability, we have to design a system that is resilient. By leveraging AWS with Amazon Route 53 application recovery controller, cellular architectures within Amazon API Gateway and Amazon EKS, Life360 was able to dispatch 42,000 emergency services last year to different incidents that they detected. It actually saves lives.
Our partnership with Caylent, helping us to do this cloud migration, really allowed the Life360 team to focus on building a better experience for our users. It's about making everyday life easier. It's peace of mind.